avoid being in this position as well.
Watching how the Swiss unfolded and how the meta evolved in the past week, it definitely makes me think that even underdogs such as Twisted Minds, CFU from the rising tides of MPLKH, maybe they can do it. Something tells me that we're here to witness, as we three specifically have witnessed in the past few days, 3-game best-of-3s. I think it's gonna go the distance.
I hope we get that again. RRQ Hoshi, Fnatic Onyx Philippines, Falcon Esports, Team Spirit, and NIP Flash await for either BTK, Vamos, Team Liquid ID,
Guys,
Twisted
welcome.
Minds, Selangor Red Giants, and CFU Gaming. There I say, gentlemen, this was the most surprising start to an international MLBB tournament we've ever had.
I definitely think that it's helped
Valve.
the world kind of understand the level of play and how competitive MLBB truly is.
Today is gonna be the last day
here on the Swiss stage
of the Swiss round.
At the very least, it is not a best of one anymore to determine their fates.
Never in the history of the M Series have we witnessed a journey like this. One, given that the fact that it's a Swiss stage, the first time we're trying the format ever. And second is, you can follow any team that made it to the knockouts and see how they rose. You can follow any team that fell out and see how they declined and how they fell out. And down to the very last day here today in the 2-2 bracket, you'll see that each of these teams are worthy of rooting for. Each of these teams have a story to tell, and you can flip a coin and say, you know what, whatever comes up, heads or tails, underdog or tournament favorite, whatever comes out is what is deserving of that final piece in the knockout puzzle.
Again, I'll repeat something I've said before. If this is your first time ever joining us for MLBB Esports, for our World Championship, well, welcome. We're very happy that you're here, but everything that we've had so far leading to this final Swiss stage day has been an absolute epic, closer than ever to achieving the promise of being greater than ever. BTK versus Vamos as our first series. TLID versus Twisted Minds. Selangor Red Giants versus CFU. Out of all the 3 series here, Leo, let's start with you. Which one do you think has the highest chance of delivering an upset?
I want to see Le Champion versus Le Champion. Liquid ID going up against Twisted Minds. Throughout the Swiss, we've seen how MPL MENA through the years have evolved to become a true threat. Under the tutelage of a Filipino coaching staff,
like TLID will still win though.
Twisted Minds have defied the odds, and I think they should give TLID a run for their money.
I don't think so. I'm still on my
I think BTK Vamos is the most
TLID to take
competitive
that away.
match.
But honestly, I got more things to stress out about. I got Vamos up against BTK, a very historic match here, and SRG against CFU. And looking at their journey, specifically CFU, it feels a lot more deserving that they have steadily gotten to the level where, hey, we had hard opponents, but now this is going to be one of the hardest ones yet, and this is for a qualification spot.
Yeah, going into this day, I've been trying to get the vibe of the community. A lot of them are saying this is probably going to be a left side of the schedule favored day, where we might just see 2, 4, 6 games, all sweeps, and it's just going to go that way. But yeah, the way Leo put it here, I can't see
CFU might be able to beat SRG.
A good fight with everything that we've shown. Not potentially take a game,
but it's
or
not
any of the
as
teams
competitive
in the
as
matches that we're going to be seeing today, rather.
Especially since
BTK Vamos,
last
in my
night
opinion.
against Aurora,
I think these two teams are closer in
Liquid
power.
ID came online at what, the 12-13 minute mark? And that's where Twisted Minds start to find their mojo, you know? That's where they start to feel like they're back home in the sands of Saudi Arabia. So if they do get it across there, and I'm sure they were watching last night when they brought out the Xavier, then this should definitely be something to watch out for. I don't doubt that, you know, the cavalry would run him over, but I'm just saying it's not impossible.
I don't think it's impossible as well, but at the same time, with how things have been playing out here at the Swiss stage, there has been a level of evolution when it comes down not only to the meta, but more importantly, with the way that people are going to be drafting blue and red side. It's now starting to even out. It's not blue side heavy or red side heavy anymore.
Teams all across the Swiss stage.
No, I don't think I'm going to stream more of them today. I think the only interesting match actually is this match, BTK versus Vamos.
But as I
I think the other two matches, TLID versus
because this is the matchup
Twisted Minds
a lot of teams have been
and
waiting for.
CFU
The
versus
of servers,
SRG look pretty straightforward.
MY. You know what? I'm sorry. I'm going to say it. It's part of the storyline. Easy server versus drama server, baby.
It's the best. It's truly the best. I can't wait for this match to start.
And now let's hear
This
from
last
the
match looks
stars of
more-
this story.
More interesting. With the background drama as well.
Question. I think not have question, but you need to take back what you say before.
About what?
About Malaysia.
Easy server?
Yeah.
No, still.
Still easy server.
And well, we've joked about it. It was Mobazane himself that he mentioned it all started as a joke. But say things enough and it's bound to happen and come true.
I mean, the netizens have taken it so much further than it needed to be, but in a kind of ironic way at the same time. As much as there's toxicity and a lot of heat when it comes down to these two particular teams, we need to cut back to
You don't know about
why
the drama?
it even began in the first place.
Hello, Sensis.
Denial of going to
You don't know about the
knockout stage
drama?
happening multiple times. And most importantly, I think the most
The
notable
easy
one is
server
during
drama
M5.
and the
Team
noob
Vamos
flag
under
drama.
the name of Homeboys looking to get that qualification spot. Denied by, at the time, outplayed, all thanks to a Hilda with a Petrify to seal the deal.
How perfect is it that here in Kuala Lumpur, for M6, it's Chibi who confronts Mobazane and saying, hey, is it still easy server? What do you think? And with a smile on his face, bro says, yeah, still easy server. So with that said, it's clear that these two teams, these two figures, are polarizing figures, right? But I think that's the best kind of figure to root for. I'm torn. I'm a big fan of Vamos' on-stage antics, their unorthodox gameplay, and of course what BTK stands for, right? Being the heart and soul of NA MLBB. So, with that said, with the grudge on the line, I think it's not fair to say that Malaysia is going to skip out just because of history. I don't think it's so easy to erase that, you know, just to write them off.
Yeah, these two have perfectly described the story of Vamos and BTK leading to this. Throwing back to the M5 World Championship last year when Homeboys, they were blocked by then the Ohio brothers, if I'm not mistaken. They weren't the Valley, they weren't BTK, they were under a different name at that time.
And that was the tightest group in all of M5, if I'm not mistaken. Like, up until the very last minute, the 11th hour, we were wondering, who's going to make it out? Who's going to make it out?
Yeah, I remember that group. It was Geek Fam, Deus Volt, they're debuting
Hello,
Kid
Tree.
Bomba,
What's up?
Homeboys, and the TOB, the Ohio brothers.
And they were already, I mean, the Malaysian team was already positioned to get out of that group
First thing
itself,
to
already
do
being the
when you come
toughest
into the
competitor
stream,
in that group just to get knocked down
gamble.
by the Ohio brothers. And I think, honestly, I love the fact that now the rivalry is between BTK and as well as Vamos. Because again, if this was like an SRG versus BTK, I don't think SRG would be as vocal. And I think this is the perfect anti-hero up against the BloodThirstyKings who have such strong personalities to make this matchup shine.
It's like the equivalent of watching the Joker and the Lex Luthor duke it out, or any of the greatest villains in all of heroic comic books and cinema go up against each
the
other. And
players
that's what
have-
it feels like.
In all of fiction,
Have
in
gone
all
on
of
stage.
reality, and this is the reality we live in.
Starting
Interesting
soon.
choice of words. Anti-hero, villain, whatever you say, they are our villains. They are our figures, and you could not imagine an MLBB esports without the likes of Vamos, without the likes of BTK. Like, they made the past 3-6 months of what? Drama servers, easy server, worth watching. And even if you're not an MLBB esports diehard fan, you've heard of these names, you've heard of these stories.
In this clash, we are poised to see Mobazane potentially walk the talk while Chibi seeks to reclaim Malaysia's honor in the international stage against this specific team to settle the score. It hasn't just been a year-long grudge. Go back to the M4 World Championship, and that's where we saw the Valley dudes take down Todak in the M4 knockout stages, sweeping them. So this goes way back. For MLBB's BTK, MLBB NA's BTK, they aim to make America MLBB great again, while the hometown villains, their hometown villains, our hometown villains in Vamos. Gentlemen, I hate to do this, but in a matchup like this, I think it's time. Predictions?
Ooh, this one's gonna be obvious for me. I'm gonna start off first as the local on the desk. I obviously have to go for Vamos. And now the real question is, how long is this series going to go? I have to say, I'm gonna go a 2-1.
There we go.
2-1 going in for Vamos.
Leo.
I like how you asked as if we had a choice, but I'm ready.
Ready? Really?
2-1 for BTK.
So I'm going to be the kicker here.
Oh, yeah.
All right. I mean, there is a little bit of a slowly bubbling rivalry between our regions as well. So this is my score. And that's my prediction.
Oh,
He got creative with it. He did some arts and crafts, folks.
He did a little bit of arts and crafts. So you guys are following with the current ratings of the guest coins. Even when we're looking at the
Using the
predictions,
ice cream sticks.
the ratios of guest coins you could be earning here today on M6, it looks like, you know, BTK better run so far.
Yeah. So real quick, start with Gideon first. Other than the fact that you're Malaysian, I know you're also a respectable analyst. What do you think Team
These
Vamos will bring
casters
to
are
the
so
table
biased.
here to take down BTK?
Well, I think they're not really going to change too much of their
Oh, they're
strategies. I
biased,
definitely
though.
think they're going to be very heavily centralized around the early game. Yesterday, we got to see an almost perfect polish
really
of
see
what
any
that early game
biasness
should
so
look
far.
like, and honestly, bring back some of the signature picks like Benedetta, high
Except, I
damage
mean,
side lane junglers to deal
except Gideon,
with,
right?
hey, we
He's
want to
going
scale, we
for
can play from
Ramos.
early mid to late
Obviously,
on that
his-
Bruno.
his
no
own
problem. Even
country's
the
team.
Moscow, no problem. As long as we close that distance and start the snowball early.
Actually, casters do really
Quick
have a hard
yes
job.
or no? Should they try to bring back a fighter mid for this one, or stick with going back to
They get a
Valentino
lot of hit.
Warlord?
I would say
Just for
Valentina.
predictions.
Valentina actually is getting really good stats from day 2 onwards here at the Swiss stage. So I'm going to lean in with the numbers as well.
All right, Leo, what about you? Why BTK?
I've said it before, I'll say it again. No one collapses on a team fight like BTK. And truth be told, the last time they were on stage when they faced off against the Burmese powerhouse in Falcon Esports, that was the worst they've looked. And I'll tell you now, whether it be the draft, whether it be gameplay, whether it be something internal that they're working on, I think the worst is behind us. Something tells me in the past 48 hours, BTK have figured it out, and they may have packed a little bit of heat. I think they got a little bit of the... I forgot what the Spanish of it was.
El Spicy.
El Spiso, yeah. Because it's clear that they are working hard in scrims. It's clear
How's this
that
BTK,
they
but
have
their
some
gameplay is
plans that they
Vamos.
may not have fully executed on in that matchup against Falcon.
Guess so.
So, hey, if you're going to show us
But to
something
be
as
honest, I
hot
think
as
both-
the XP Joey
both
4
teams
on Flight Chicken,
have their own
so
weakness.
be it. I think that's what they need here to hold on
Both
to the
teams,
hope
it's
for
not like their
knockouts.
gameplay,
Let's see if
their
BloodThirsty
gameplay
Kings
is
will
very,
bring out the
very
spicy
keen or
picante
anything like that.
into the draft against Team Vamos. And, you know, I agree
I think
with you. It's the
BTK
team
with
fighting for
certain lineup,
BTK.
they are very
And again,
clean.
I will hammer down my idea for this team that they just
But they
know
need
how to
to
get
pick
into
up
the
their,
heads of their opponents. But
their
they're going up
comfort
against
heroes.
Roger Recall, a man who is known for getting into the heads of his opponents.
I mean, it's Team Vamos from Malaysia with Nets, Zorn, Warlord, Chibi, and
Vamos always
Smooth. As
feels
much as
all
you
over
guys
the
are
place.
Talking about BT, how they collapse. There's a lot
Their
of
gameplay
setup
always
and
feels
priority
all over
that
the
needs to
place.
be done. And I think when we're looking at Team Vamos, the one
Maybe that's
player
the way
that
they
I
play.
have to make a comparison to Fried Chicken has to be Smooth. Both are known to have pretty good laning phases. Both are extremely intelligent with the way that they macro around the map, with fast rotations, and most importantly, since Smooth technically has never qualified for a knockout stage in any M series, they previously trying with Team SMG and now with Team Vamos, I think this has so much more emotional impact for him as well.
I remember Lord Smooth wearing the black and orange, and I could have sworn there was a star in this
Just
young
play
man.
with a jungle
And
Smurf.
despite
You
how
mean you're
rocky
on a-
Team
you're on a
Vamos'
Smurf
run in the
playing
Swiss
jungle?
was in the first couple of rounds, he
Oh,
just
you mean
looked
like
so
your
stable.
enemy
I
is
think
a
that's his
no Smurf.
main strength, is despite what everyone else on the squad is doing, even their coaching staff, Lord Smooth is just chill.
Now let's look at the head-to-head on your screens. We talked about the EXP laners and Fried Chicken and Smooth. They have good responsibility of making sure that their junglers, Mobazane for BTK and Chibi for Team Vamos, are set up well. Right now, it looks like Chibi is getting a little bit of a better lead over Mobazane in terms of the stats.
Was he looking for a burger? What was that?
No, he was looking for the other half of his heart.
Yeah. How come Chibi brought it down so quickly? I think Mobazane would have tried to connect that. You know?
No. Zane is locked in. I know
that's
that
true.
at least for the NA teams, it's no fun in games once they're up on that stage. They have to chill. They have to make sure that they hit hard and hit fast.
The team had a
By the way,
Smurf
there's a
epic
new
one, 5
game
matches
mode,
with 86%
coming up,
hit.
I believe it's in the advanced server, but you can try it out.
Lucky
Redeem
you.
code is MLBB Open. Use the QR code on your screen, scan it
Oh,
with
redeem
your
code.
smart devices, and join in
Okay, let's
on
redeem the code.
fun. You know, there was something mentioned earlier
wait.
in the panel about setup. BTK, Leo, do you agree with me that they're not instantly like the team to surprise? You do see that they have a formation and they need to set that up before
drafting
acting.
phase.
Which is why exactly Falcon Esports' strike to Hoon and Shark was so painful starting in game 2 of their 3-game epic. So yeah, I totally agree. They have to be able to set up mid first. Set up those duo, Shark and Hoon, so that their side lanes and even Mobazane have less to think about. More so now that there is a huge target on Mobazane's Frederick.
Then again, they are going up against the team that, well, know how to set up first and
Frederick
set the
and
tempo
Loi Ben
first.
ready.
Let's see
They are
who can
comfort.
actually do that in the draft. Vamos
Let's see
already
how
setting the
BTK
mood. They're saying
responds.
we are respecting the Loi of Hoon, the Frederick of Mobazane, as Leo mentioned, and there
Any
goes the
ban?
Bruno of Zia, but we're
Probably.
seeing 2 chibi bans
Right.
from BTK.
Unless
This is
they
one of
don't
the
respect
faster drafts that we've
the Fanny.
seen all season. I mean, Swiss rounds happen. Teams have been taking their time, right, to maybe innovate, talk about the next couple of steps. These teams, they're blowing it out of the water really quick, and it's all tended towards signature picks. Now, as you mentioned, 2 bans towards Chibi's side in both the join as well as that Hayabusa. It makes me question whether or not they want
Okay,
to
they are not
also get
respecting
rid of the
Fanny.
Hilda.
All right, Hylos still open.
So I guess they don't think Chibi is gonna play Fanny.
Eve
Or he doesn't
at
have a good
large.
Fanny, even if he plays
Valentina
it.
as well.
Dear God, what has happened? Because of the targeting of BTK onto the jungle possible picks, all of these are open. Do we see Blue Yo? Does Chibi do that?
I don't think it's too strong of an opening right now with so many picks still available. I think
Oh,
the
I
Cho is
guess.
probably the most stable one for Vamos.
So I
On
lost.
the other hand, I think it's a good gambit.
But
You're
to be honest, I
forcing
don't
Mobazane to
know.
pick
I don't
something
really
else.
know what Vamos
There's a lot
wants
of
to pick.
questions up in the air right
Maybe
now.
Khalid.
You're right there with the 2 assassin bans. It opened up a huge field of picks, as it is Blue Yo for Vamos. BTK can steal away the Cho here. They don't need to rush for their alpha, if that's what they're thinking of. And there's the Jushin falling to the hands of Hoon.
My God, not even 5 seconds after the pick, BTK are indeed locked in.
They know exactly what they want to do against Vamos,
BTK
and I
gets a
expect
good
nothing less from this team.
two-
Now, Vamos, on the other hand,
two prio
previously
picks, though.
in their matchup yesterday, a
These-
lot of, especially with
a
high
good two
damage
prio
side
picks
laners,
on
right? There's a
BTK
lot
side.
to come down to
But the
how
thing
you
is that
open up the map, and more importantly, where
Vamos
does your
steals
jungler
away the
start? Because you
Suyo,
want to rotate
which
to a lane where you can
is
actually
probably-
enable the gank. A lot of macro feints were played yesterday, and that's something that BTK
Zane's
wanted
like
to deny.
the second
Have those
most
concussive blasts, make sure you can
comfortable pick
open the map safely with
for
this
him.
chill, and more importantly, hold it as that flex pick.
What are they going to put in the center of the map here for Vamos?
Still possible to
Warlord
go like
lived up
something
to his
like
name yesterday,
Akai
Asa
though.
Valentina. Are they going to lock that in? Nope, it's Sicilian for the mid, and they go for Glue in the EXP. The Sicilian is a little bit of a signal if they're going for a little
Don't
bit
like
of a
the Glue pick.
later power spike, while Glue somewhat can be the bridge to
Don't
that.
like
If
that
ever
Glue
things don't
pick.
go that
I think maybe they can consider Layla.
later to hold your early well to minimize the damage, and as expected, alpha for BTK.
I think BTK can actually consider
But just
Layla.
the same, you're not threatening Warlord on Sicilian.
Maybe take High Loss
Nothing in
then.
BTK's lineup says so far we can reach
Maybe take High Loss
the
or
late
Khalid,
game hero in
or
Sicilian, but
just
there's still a
something
couple
to
more picks
body
left
block
in the second phase.
for
They
Layla.
could just
They
make it
can
go
take lane.
all the more faster, so Vamos don't even get there.
There's a fun fact on your screens right now. Before
You
every
can
match,
outrange the
Jimmy
Sicilian
tunes
with
into
Layla.
Rosé's or Rosie's song
Featuring
to
Bruno
get in the
Mars.
zone. Apata. You guys actually like that song? I do. I love it.
I don't know. The first time I heard it, I thought it's just AI collaborations to make sure they put all the best hits, the best hooks, the best rhymes all into one song. And then I realized, wait, somebody put that together themselves.
Yeah, it's just Bruno Mars.
It's Bruno Mars. I
And
should
Rosie.
known.
Contrary to popular belief, and just a quick palate cleanser from the draft, very intense, very quick. I think it's a great song. I think it's a well-written song. And I think just the way we listen to it over and over again might run it out.
Right now, as we look at the draft,
Feels
and we
unnecessary to
reminisce
ban that-
about how great a
that
song
quote.
Apata is.
But I guess they are
I'm trying
protecting
to
that-
determine who's
They are protecting
dancing
the
to whose
Sicilian.
tune right now in the draft. Is it Vamos dictating it secretly? Is BTK, with how fast they're picking, actually the ones dictating it?
I think Vamos has a song of their own. The fact that they went glue
be
Sicilian
honest, Alpha
was a
doesn't
clear
counter
tell,
Suyo.
because they don't care
That's a
what
wrong
BTK were doing.
way
If
to
BTK
describe it.
picked something that
Alpha
goes
just
way to the
does
back,
decently
that could've been
against
something
Suyo.
else besides the Hayabusa,
I
the
think it
Alpha.
counters
If
Suyo.
somehow Mobazane picked up a Ling to find the Sicilian, sure, whatever. But I think Vamos are slightly going back to their day 1 and day 2 Swiss form. Is that just me? Except it's not a fighter, you know?
I think
Well, I think
BTK
it's a lot
should be
more
going
refined this time around.
Beatrix
They're not
or
blind
1-1
picking and
next.
trying to make hard reads on their opponents anymore. It's very responsive, right? You show the Jushin, therefore you don't have to worry about Vixana or Farmus anymore. So now
It should
you can
be
guarantee
Beatrix
the
or
blue
1-1.
after seeing the ban in that Hilda.
Or they
even
could
if we
leave
do
it to
see
the
Phobias later down
last
the
pick.
line, at least Smooth will be able to handle it. However, I do think that at the very least, the Claude ban is interesting because it's kind of treating the Sicilian as if it's a Yve, you know? Don't let that
they go
backline
Bayer.
access be possible, and they also get the Arlet to deny playmaking capabilities to hopefully sweep him underneath the rug.
All right, there's the Beatrix on the side of BTK.
So you have
No
like
idea
a
what Vamos is gonna
half
pick,
answer to the
so I'll just
backline.
leave it
He's
to
trying
them.
Snipe it.
Yeah, a half answer. You know what a full answer might just be? If that's a projectile shooting gold laner for Vamos, run back an old Shark
I think they
favorite.
should take
Put the
something
Joe in
more
the
powerful.
EXP and get the Lolita for
Don't
sure.
let-
It's
don't
a
let
pick
the
that
Chusin
has
just
fallen out of
pick
favor
them up
greatly,
easily.
and that might mean the center of the map might be a little bit difficult to control to be
Maybe
to
Ruby is
control
fine.
for BTK. But hey, it's an old poison.
And you have Shark's number 7. That's Shark's number 7 hero in M6.
And speaking of number 1 heroes, let's carry, and it's the Carmilla Sicilian combo that Vamos brought out in the playoffs of MPL Malaysia.
Don't like
Yep,
the
they've done this in
carry,
the regular
but
season of MPL MY
Camila
as well.
is
It's going to
good
make
here.
team fights really annoying to deal with for BTK in particular, because now the real question is, do we want to kind of charge at Vamos? They could still
think carry's range is so
lock
bad
in the high loss if they
against
wanted to,
Chusin.
but then it's kind of that toss-up of like, do you want to sacrifice the glue or do you want to sacrifice the chill? Either way, it's not going to be a good time for the EXP.
Yeah, no, the high loss is a no-go here at this point.
Yeah.
The carry was ran into the high loss yesterday repeatedly by Nets, so you don't want to do that. I don't know, I'm 50-50 on the Lolita. Nice read though, I think. But if
take high
I'm
loss.
Kai, either in the EXP, but the Terizla. Just get a frontliner heavy for Chicken that can help set up, and they're just going to be fast clearing EXP, getting out, and then just committing.
Guess that's okay.
very low to the ground for BTK. They
Yeah.
want to go fast.
Okay, Vamos get their Carmilla Sicilian combo while a low to the ground. Humble draft for BTK. Let's go, Marco, bring it up.
Thank you so much to our panel, and we are now finally about to enter the first series of the last day of the Swiss stage. It's Brigitte and Mirko bring you the action. And I must say, I agree, this is probably a refined Team Vamos, but it's still Team Vamos. They bring out the Sicilian Carmilla.
Listen, as long as Warlord gets an actual mid laner, I'm fine with it. You know, he hasn't really been performing on the Gata, the Khalids, but Warlord, he's known to do, I mean, make a lot of plays, especially on the Valentina. Now he gets himself
So what do you
on
guys
a
think?
carry, a Sicilian.
And I like how they're
85%
sticking with their
thinks
signature
BTK
picks and, of
will
course,
win.
their identities, as this is a match everyone is definitely looking out for. It is the clash of
85%
servers,
of you.
ladies and gentlemen, and we are now about to enter the land of dawn. Let's see what happens here, because Zorn, he's clicking those recalls really early into the game, but I must say, I am actually wondering about how the aggressive mid duos will play out in the early game, because this is a Sicilian Carmilla. I know recently Sicilians have been
Wow,
a
Hoon is
little bit
dying
more
already.
aggressive in the early stages.
What
but
the hell,
against
Hoon?
this
What the hell
lineup,
are you doing?
it seems like they're being the more aggressive mid duo right now.
First blood for Zorn already. You can see, I guess that answers your question, that
Yeah.
your doubt about the Sicilian and also the Carmilla. It's a great combo, Shark. Doing a good job now, just holding it in. And all right, he'll still be able to get Hoon those minions.
Yes, and everyone, don't forget to check out the M6 pass
He
available
didn't
from
actually
the
lose
18th
anything
of
from that
November
death though.
up to the 29th
Honestly,
of December.
because-
Complete all the active tasks during the
because
event
Cho
to reach
actually
level 75 for
got the
free.
lead
You
for
get
him.
all the amazing rewards, including
But that was
the
so dumb.
battle
That
emotes, the
first
avatar
death
borders, the
was so dumb.
special skins, and of course, Claude's M6 exclusive skin and their Prime skin. You'll also get a chance to get the figurine you see in the panel desk. Later on, when we head back, you can check it for yourselves. But for now, we'll be heading back into this
The good
game
thing
as
is that
well,
he
because
didn't lose
after
any
that
XP
kill
or gold.
onto Hoon, this might just be a game where they have to be extra careful this time, especially as Chibi. It seems like he's on the hunt already for another kill.
Definitely. It's already very aggressive. Aggressive start for Vamos here. The fact that they have the Sicilian and Carmilla, we know the interaction that you have now, an additional skill to utilize. But what I do want to talk about a little bit more is the fact that BTK have gone and opted to, have gone for the Terizla.
Yeah.
This Terizla has actually been the counter for the longest time towards the glue in the matchup, right, in the 1v1. And that's why you see the Festival of Blood here for Mr. Chicken. He wants to stay in the fights a lot more, and he knows he's going to be able to outdamage the glue.
And it seems like we're about to see it for the first time. how are they going to
Good
play
position for
around
Vamos,
all the
but
AoEs that are possibly going to be present in the upcoming team fights, because they're just holding on to the turtle. And we've
Everyone is
seen Smooth
teleporting back.
perform on the glue as well yesterday. He performed so well, just keeping on interrupting all of the members, but it seems like Fried Chicken goes in first, but how will they respond?
Wait the Dragon, locking GB down. Ooh, great Lantern Flare. MLBB still on the Smooth, Retribution not ready just yet. He goes for the Spear of Alpha instead of the fight here, and it goes to Sword.
Why isn't Zane trying to go for turtle?
It's knocked up. Curse of Blood knocking Hoon up. Now Smooth
He's trying to fight
has
the
done
blue.
what he
Why?
can. It will be a trade, a kill
Why?
for BTK, for Vamos, who gets the turtle.
That's so
Sword has
strange.
gotten first blood, and he also secures the turtle for Team Vamos. What is up with Soren for this game? It seems like he's
so weird.
really confident in everything that he does. But now Shark definitely seems to want to go for the attempt.
Gotta say, strange
But there's
plays from
another
BTK
thing you
so far.
have to consider if you are Shark in this game. Both Nets and Warlord, your primary targets, they're on Purify. So that might be quite a difficult job for BloodThirstyKings as well, especially as they haven't secured the best possible early game for their lineup.
It'll definitely be tough for BTK here, because for Vamos, all they need to do is technically go even in the early game, right? As long as they're not too far behind, I would say, what, 3,000 gold behind is still actually okay for Vamos with this kind of composition. Because all they need to do is wait for the Sicilian and the carry to get to those item power spikes. Meanwhile, for BTK, like you said, it does rely on them getting the mid-game a bit more compared to Vamos, or way more compared to Vamos. So the fact that Vamos secured Turtle 1 means it's a big win, actually, for Vamos.
Yep, they don't get to entirely interrupt like MOBA Zane and farming all the attention. We're literally seeing it here in the mid lane.
I don't
It's
really
more
like
on
how
Shark
BTK
and
is playing
Hoon
this early
versus
game.
Soren and Warlord, and it seems like
They have
for
the advantage, but they're not
I don't know
forcing
how
anything.
many times now another fight might be brewing here in the mid lane, but Fried Chicken seems to be able to poke Soren so well now. He might be the first to fall, but look at the passive from Warlord.
Just calls him back. Whoa! Zorn go back in. No more Crimson Beacon. MLBB Zane goes over the Spear of Alpha to the back. Chibi goes for the Soul Sever Hoon.
Shark.
That's a way to Dragon from Shark to lock him
Hitting
down.
Suyo.
Chibi will be
Suyo's
taken
dying.
out by Fried Chicken. No, it's Shark who gets it, but it's Rage. Zorn fallen.
Yeah.
MLBB Zane still dealing with the glue. Now pops the split. Smooth gets away.
That was bad.
But it's great
A
for
bad team
BTK
fight
as they set up
for
for the
Vamos.
second turtle.
Talk about timings here. Just when
Not
we
a
thought
good
Team
team fight for
Vamos
Vamos.
already got out of all the possible threats that could be brought by BTK, BTK decides that no, they're not stopping that fight. They're just proceeding with it and caught Team Vamos off guard, especially as both Zia and Fried Chicken, they were there, they were ready. Even Soren, I
think that
feel,
team fight could
just
have
weren't
been
really
avoided by
able
Vamos,
to
man.
expect all
I
of
think
that
they could have
pressure. And he
avoided
couldn't
that.
just go back in and use the Curse of Blood, knowing that he's so low on HP. But Shark, though, might find himself alone here and will be taken out.
Oh.
But there's the flicker, and he will survive.
Good flicker out, respecting the damage from Team Vamos. Though that was a bit greedy from Shark, trying to go for the purple buff steal, though it all actually almost worked out.
Yeah.
Chibi, 0-2 currently, actually, yeah. Chicken will be poked quite a bit, has to use the DPZ, that's the defensive penalty zone, to escape. So Vamos are still scaling up quite well. Again, for BTK, they need much bigger of a lead here to deal with Vamos' mid-game power spike.
Yeah, I think the Apatu that Chibi listened to earlier isn't really working just yet, but then we find MLBB Zane in a very tight spot. Team Vamos just take him out, but I think there's a trade up top.
Okay, that still
That's
has
not
a
a good
purify.
trade, though.
Seal will get some free hits onto the turret. Shark walks up earlier.
Not a
Nets
good trade.
able to just dash away. That is a kill for a turret tier 1, but then Vamos continues it with another turret down below. So again, becomes a great trade for Vamos. 2 for 1. Chibi shoving the wave as well, forcing Chicken to catch that wave. And both teams now are just playing it super
be honest,
safe,
right
waiting out
now,
next neutral objective before maybe
I would say
it becomes
Vamos is winning.
that fight that they want
Yeah.
to look for.
Because
I also do
it's
think
Vamos that
that
needs time.
BTK, they just
Not
want to
BT,
focus
not
on the
BTK.
map
BTK
right
actually
now,
needs to force
because as we all know, probably
more mistakes
the
early.
True and the Jushin, in terms of early burst or follow-up for all those Way of the Dragons, might not be the best combo, especially if you're behind. So they're probably waiting for Zia to take part in all of the team fights for them to be more effective, more
They're really not
efficient.
doing
And
much,
as we
man.
all know, the AoE that's present in BTK as well. Just one beautiful penalty zone followed up with either the Bennett's Rage or the Nibiru's Passion. I think that
As
could
long
set
as
things
Vamos
up a
doesn't
lot
make
for
any
Team Vamos,
major
but you could
mistakes,
say
right?
the same for them.
I think they really
have
won
the
this game.
They have the Curse of Blood. They have all those Bats Impact, Bats
As
Speed
long
from
as they don't
Warlord.
make any
So
major mistakes.
equally the same. Whoever sets it up first and better for either of these two teams, they'll definitely gain the upper hand, especially as there might just be another potential team fight here in the Turtle Pit.
Mid prio, for the BloodThirstyKings. That's a conceal. Smooth
Shark.
it down with the split 2. That's Bennett's rage. Smooth taken out. Penalty zone from White Chicken. Locking new members down, forcing Nets to use a purified. Zia goes
Nets
in.
going down.
Wins it out. Zia will be able to get a double kill now. That's G Kudo onto 2. BTK collapse on Vamos.
Oh my god.
Chibi's taken down, but he won't be
Almost.
able to survive. BTK with a winning team fight. But again, it
As
was
long as
Chibi
they
who
don't
got
make
the
any
turtle.
major mistakes.
Yeah, and that
but
was a
they
very
have-
aggressive play from Zia, flickering in just to chase after Nets. They got the upper hand either way, but there was still a trade that went into the hands of Team Vamos. And speaking of trades, Chibi, knowing all that they've lost, will just try to shove the top lane a little bit, but clearly BTK, they're taking control
Nothing
of
much
the
gain
mid-game
from
right
that,
now
though.
against Team Vamos. So
Except
you
one
would
turtle.
think that they'd probably rely on scaling a little bit more, but really, we were expecting a much more aggressive version of Team Vamos earlier. I mean, this is still the
Not
Suyo.
any
This is
big
still the glue
objective
of
conversions.
Smooth. So now that they're being unsuccessful in terms of all those interruptions, this is a surprising turnaround for BTK.
I would say this is the strength and also the problem for Vamos, right? They are really good at stalling out the team fights, utilizing the bad impact to just deal consecutive damage. BTK are much better in an all-in type of fight. So if BTK get a burst down on the front line, Vamos are technically almost just forced out completely out of the fight.
Yep.
So for Vamos, they gotta make sure that Smooth gets the backup necessary. If Shark goes for the kick, they need to cancel that kick quick.
Yep, but the difference maker as well is White Chicken and his timings of the penalty zone.
That's true.
It wasn't like they didn't attempt to do just that. It was more of like White Chicken, he also went in with the penalty zone, tried to separate the other members of Team Vamos, therefore rendering all of these possibilities impossible for them. But speaking of possibilities, there's the Curse of Blood, but it doesn't hit much from BTK, and MLBB seems to be the first to fall.
That's a full lockdown. It's going to be a 1-for-0 trade right now. Hoon goes back to the mid lane. MLBB is down. Vamos, they've been able to get some big pickoffs there with the chain CC, and again it happens through the Curse of Blood of Zorn. But it's not just the Curse of Blood, man, it's that Petrify as well. Always just catching MLBB point blank.
I mean, they were so committed in that. The Curse of Blood, it didn't necessarily connect to 2 or more members of
need to stall
BTK,
this
but
lot,
all they
if
needed was
possible.
really just MLBB. But now, speaking of Smooth, he goes in as well, but the damage is there from
Come on,
Zia, but
chicken.
the Lord will
Do
now
something.
fall into the hands of Team Vamos. All they did was just zone Mirko. They didn't engage in a team fight.
It's clean by Vamos. This honestly doesn't even look like Team Vamos from the Swiss stage that we've seen. They're such a high tempo kind of team. They always want to go for fights, and now we're seeing more of a, you know, Vamos kind of like, let's go, right? It's
Yeah.
This is chill. I don't know if that works, but they're just playing it so chill. After getting a win, it's just pure discipline. They play back for the Lord, and again, there's no real reason for them to fight with this composition. Just constantly dishing out damage, but it's a Melfic gun already. Oh, man, that poke. Hoon already chunked in the mid lane. The Curse of Blood. Oh, MLBB forced to use the Spear of Alpha defensively. White Chicken goes in, isolated himself, and Nets
Well,
just
literally not doing
disintegrates
anything.
him on this carry.
They still
Leopard
get
literally
to
not
take
doing anything.
down the mid lane turret. And they still have the Lord as well. So they're definitely
He's not
looking
tanking
to
anything.
take
He's not
out
doing any
more
damage.
turrets
He's
from
not stunning
BTK,
anything.
especially with the White Chicken down right now. So there are lesser chances of them going for the counter
He's like
engagement.
a
Speaking
minion.
of, Shark, he might just not commit the Way of the Dragon. So now they gain access to the mid lane turret, but there's the Lord here as well in the bottom lane. So at least they know that there are still possible setups from BTK, but let's see how this goes, because it seems like their focus will just be solely on the Lord.
They'll still be able to clear the Lord. It is Lord 1, but Vamos, to remind you guys back at home again, we've been saying this countless times. I'm starting to sound like a broken radio, but the fact that Vamos are not behind in the mid-game with a Sicilian and carry, this is great for them. The Curse of Blood almost connecting to Zia, but it's Rage not hitting any of the members. Vamos are happy with these trades. Even if they don't have a
I think it's
goalie,
really,
they're
really
still
hard to
happy at this
catch.
moment.
Carry
BTK, all
or
they really have to rely
Sicilian,
on at this
either one.
point
Because
is
of the
the amount
Petrify.
of wave clear that they have.
How do they
because
catch them?
Team Vamos, they're just constantly putting out the pressure towards BTK. I wouldn't think that
Like Shark and Chicken
BTK,
doesn't even
knowing
want
that
to
they have
commit
a lot of housekeeping to
either
do,
of
would be
them
confident
because
enough
of
to
the
look for an
Purify.
engage towards Team Vamos, especially considering all the available resources. Like we've seen earlier, Zorn, he moves fast on his own, but he can also get the passive, take advantage of the passive to survive. But speaking of the Bennett's Rage,
Oh, they got glue.
That was a lot of damage.
That was a
Piercer
mistake.
for Hoon too. You can see that
But he will
execute.
respawn in time for a
And I
lot.
guess for BloodThirsty
So
Kings,
nothing
you were talking
crazy.
about the damage, the wave clear they have, but also, I guess, the pick-off, right? That's something
Right.
that BTK can still bank on in a lot of these team fights. It's just, when you pick off, you can only really pick off the front line.
Yeah.
Nets and Warlord, I don't think they can actually get to them without getting the frontliners. So, again, Vamos are chill with it. They lose smooth. It's still a smooth game plan.
Yeah, I mean, it's surprising to think that that's still smooth. I mean, it's one of the tankier heroes here for Team Vamos. But this
You
just
gotta
goes
be
to show
careful,
that
bro.
BTK, they've already gotten enough items, possibly for Z as well. They just need to be extra careful in terms of where they are going to position themselves, because Zorn, he can really just catch them off guard anytime he wants. Cast the Curse of Blood, even just to make them move away or actually split up. And this is the important part. I know this is just the enhanced Lord that we're talking about, but it is very likely
I think
that
one can
either
go a
of
bit
these two
forward.
teams who get their hands on this Lord will get their hands on the base turrets
Try
as
to
well. And now
get
it
some
seems like
stacks
Team
on
Vamos, they're the ones a little bit more
front line.
confident in terms of moving up and scouting the members of BTK. But Smooth, he has to be mindful of all
Force
these
them
pokes as well.
into weird positions.
look at
Oh,
Chibi dealing with damage. Chibi,
Oh.
all the way
Wait.
alone, but it's rage. Chibi is down. Isolated all the way now. Penalty zone
Chicken.
from White Chicken. Moba Zane will not decide to go with
Double
Spear of
penalty
Alpha.
zone,
It is a
but
Purify down for Warlord.
they
Zane gets
purified.
covered in a Sanguine Closet, almost gets
Oh my God.
deleted by Nets, and you can see the damage output that is ready for Vamos. BTK with a one-member
they need to rush
lead.
this lot.
I mean, that could have been the
They need
difference
to rush
maker,
this one.
right? They could have just went straight after the Lord, but now that BTK, they're aware of the damage in the hands of Warlord, they
Come on,
still go
get
for
it.
the Lord either way, but
Okay, back,
Team Vamos, they have to be careful this time. Sword might be the next to fall. He gets to flicker, or he gets to
Pull
use
back.
the passive to get away. But still, Team Vamos, it seems like they wanted to go for the attempt.
They definitely needed to, right? Again, they have the range to actually deal with BTK. It's just they just don't have any ways to retry it. Chibi should play it way safer. This is within their power spike. There is no reason for him to be flanking like that, especially considering he targeted Shark. You're not killing Shark. That's a toe
Yeah,
roll.
that's so weird.
I don't know if he knew that there were other members there,
That's
but
such a
I
weird
think
play.
at this point it's impossible to
At this
expect Shark
point,
to be
the
alone.
two junglers are
There will always be someone out there waiting
not doing
for
well
the
this
setups,
game.
ready to provide the follow-ups. And now it's Team Vamos on the defensive side. BTK, they'll definitely take advantage of this. Shark might just be looking for a target. There's still the Curse of Blood. They can use that if they want to defend, but they have to be mindful because the poke coming in from BTK, it's no joke at this point. At least they have Warlord, but then they... Right now, BTK, they can definitely gain a lot more access to Team Vamos.
Oh.
Now that they're in
You
this
sanguine gloves.
position, but look
Oh,
at
Baze, what are you
damage!
doing?
Oh, that was a mistake
What
from
you
Zane.
doing?
The Spear of Alpha to his demise. And Team Vamos are able to defend BTK. They'll have to move back. Both the junglers making crucial mistakes.
Yeah, both junglers
I
are
don't
like
know what's
playing
happening
so bad
anymore.
this game.
I mean, that Spear of Alpha
Both junglers.
might have been
They are playing
a
so bad this
misclick,
game.
or it maybe
What's wrong with them?
should have been towards the other members of BTK, right? There was no way they still wanted to go for the engage at that point, because the other members of Team Vamos, they were already chasing after them. Now, they gradually move out of their base and attempt to regain control of the map. And this is another thing we definitely have to look at. I mean, both of these teams, I would say they really would specialize in team fights when it comes to their overall compositions. It is just a matter of who will be able to disrupt the positionings a lot more. All of those team plays that may happen. And speaking of team plays, Food will
GG.
fall.
Oh, you can
GG,
hear
GG,
Malaysia here. In the M6 arena, they are going wild. Moba's going to be stunned up. The Bat Impact as well. Two members of the BloodThirsty Kings have been taken down, and Vamos have been able to neutralize the lead of turrets. The base turret in the far lane that BTK had to play with. Now it is gone, and it might be the end for BTK in game one. See ya. Trying to go for the defense. Vamos have a wave in the mid lane. Moba's trying to go for the cut right now. Azia gets chunked low by the arrow. The Bandit Rage comes down. Zorn will go in very deep. Zane taken low.
Oh
White
my
Chicken,
God.
they need to go
And
and
the end?
cycle it through. That's going to be the penalty zone on top
Oh,
of the
and-
but again, it's Nets who is targeting the turret, the base down. Game one for Vamos.
Team fighting was all that mattered for Team Vamos. And they just had to wait for the perfect opportunity. Such a close fight, but at the very end, it's still Team Vamos who gets the game.
Actually, Chusin
and
doesn't suck.
secures the match point.
I think it's the draft that sucked.
Match point for Team Vamos with a home ground advantage.
Actually, if you want to pick Cho, you need to pick a burst
I need to hear
mage.
our panelists' thoughts on this game. Let's throw it over to our panel.
Although Cho and Zusin are both prio picks, but
to say the least.
Cho is something like Kaja, right? You want to pick something to go along.
Vamos. Great comeback, fantastic comeback by Team Vamos.
With a burst.
I don't know about
because
that one. I felt
within
like
that few
this
seconds,
definitely
you're
was the
playing a
dark
pick
side
off
of the moon
comp.
for both of these teams. Like,
This is not a pick off
consistency
mage.
definitely was showing. Vamos having a bit of an awkward like mid game, even though BTK had that lead, and then that final out of nowhere Spear of Alpha into the base. I'm
But
not sure what
Cho
happened
Beatrix
there.
can work.
Anticlimactic is the word
As
I
they
would
showed many
use.
times.
The
When Cho
siege,
was
the
with
trade
Beatrix,
for
they
that
can
top
actually
lane
kill.
inhibitor,
But
on
when
both
Cho
sides of
was
the
with
map
Zusin, they don't do
definitely
anything.
felt like neither team saw that coming, and it was Vamos who went for the jugular, the opportunistic
There's not enough burst damage for
in the
Zusin to
hometown
work.
anti-heroes definitely made the difference here. And is it just me, or is it so evident that the mental is so important in this matchup?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, that's one of the things that we really hyped up about these two teams, how well they can get into the heads of their whichever opponent you throw their way.
Or stay in their own.
That's the thing. I feel like at least when it comes down to their consistency, yes, they can have some of the highest highs and some of the most incredible plays in the world, but their lows look abysmal, especially when you've seen these highs before. Like as we go into this post game, the score is 8-8, 16 minutes. Tell me Michael Bay ain't happy about this.
It felt like it was a game of punishing errors. One team sniffs an error, a little bit of an overstay, a little bit overextended. You're showing the wrong person. Then anyone, it's usually Warlord and Sword and Shark and Fried Chicken who immediately jumps on it.
It was a game
it's
of
miscalculation of
bad plays.
damage incoming, and the worst part of this all is the mistakes that Vamos made aren't as
a game of mistakes.
capitalized by BTK compared to when BTK slipped up. It was lethal. I'm looking at the last 2 minutes here. I'm looking at, again, Mobazane using the Spear of Alpha into the full-on lineup of Vamos, and that one moment up top where Hoon did not see the pop coming from
Actually, if they pick
Warlord.
high loss choosing will be so good.
That took him out of the map, and suddenly BTK were down
Both
to
are,
mid.
I mean, they are.
A lot of things can be
Hylos can just go forward and tank.
Fights, but I think definitely both of these teams
Cho doesn't want to do that. Cho wants to ambush.
Pull out that Brasso to give that a little bit of shine here, because as we saw in this game, BTK, honest to God, had a solid lead over Vamos, and it's very hard to let it go unless you make these kinds of mistakes.
I think if
the
they
only
took
way that
high
Vamos
loss,
had to, in a sense,
maybe even
recover is to make sure they
giving
take
high
fights
loss
on
to
off-tempo beats so they don't
Chicken
lose
will
major
work.
objectives. And as you see in the gold, both
Cho
Nets
can be
and as
the
well as
ambush.
Chibi were trying to
While-
hold on so that the gold lead didn't run away
While
too far.
Chicken does
To be
the
fair, Vamos, it seems like
lining.
with that early Sicilian pick, also picked a hero that would be great at punishing errors. That's one of the strengths of the Sicilian. His reach, his crowd control, and the burst in the latter portions of the game punish errors so well, and that's exactly what happened in the end there with the Spear of Alpha from Mobazane.
And to be fair, the two players we haven't really mentioned much are the heroes in an island of their own, the players in the gold lane. Zia and Nets, they both built a Wind of Nature. And looking at both lineups, neither team have, you know, in-your-face physical damage. For Zia, I'm guessing he knows that he's the linchpin of this lineup. He's saving himself from Chibi. Nets isn't going to find him. Nets
probably
is a much
didn't want
shorter
Hylos
range
into
marksman.
carry.
On the other hand, Nets looks at BTK's lineup and
to
says
be
the
honest,
same thing. None of y'all can find me.
I mean, I can
save
understand
for a
that point.
snipe from Zia.
But
So that's me
isn't
looking at
picking
it and
Terizla
saying,
about the
yo,
same?
these gold laners did the job 100% correct. It's just the
Isn't
map
it about
setup
the
wasn't
same
there
as
for them.
picking
And again,
Hylos?
the punish from
I don't see the
Warlord. I
difference
think this
there.
was a nail in the coffin. The fact that this added that whole mechanic for Zorn to protect him.
If they went
gave
R-Lot, maybe I could understand.
Vamos one more life, one more
Terizla is not-
strike, so to say. So for
not
them
really a
to be
big
4
difference from
strikes for
Hylos.
out.
It is. Because again, the main issue with the lineup coming in from Vamos is if Warlord, our MVP, stands too close to Nets, it's a guaranteed engage specifically from Fly Chicken. That's why you don't see him using his flicker very generously in a lot of these fights and would rather just throw out the penalty zone because that's how important the battle spells in this game is. Now, the counter engage, on the other hand, especially when you have the Carmilla, who can play aggressive, disappear for half a second, can also be used the opposite way around. If you're engaging on me, Warlord, I just pick up my Carmilla real quick, throw him in front, drop that ult, and pray to God that you're able to walk away from that fight.
One thing I appreciated about this specific game, though, was that the trades that they were taking and finding leading up to the mid-game. It started with the fastest first blood in the tournament so far at around 35 seconds, set by Sorn onto Hoon in the mid lane, and then multiple trades. It's shark, it's chicken, it's sword, it's smooth, and it was just both teams playing around that, leading to the major objectives. That I appreciated. But then as it got longer, you see a little bit of a panic setting in, maybe a little bit over-eagerness to find the right positioning. The best way to put it is they were living in their own heads rent-free.
That's actually a pretty good way of putting it, actually. Because as we see these teams continue to try and break each other down, a lot of it is going to come from where is their identity,
BTK gonna do.
Vamos, they like to
They are one
instigate
loss
esports.
away
They
from
want
not
to be able to
qualifying.
say, hey,
One
if
loss.
we give you enough
One more
fuel,
loss.
maybe we can turn this around with a singular
And they are
cursed
eliminated.
blood. And which is why you saw them fight heavily towards the jungle side and
One
looking
loss.
for these big choke points. But you also saw a lot of responsiveness.
They cannot
coming in
afford to
from
lose right
Vamos
now.
as well, because
They can
of how
only win.
BTK was steadily
Anything
and
other than a
consistently
win.
gaining the lead
2
on
wins,
them.
right?
All right, that's the story of
It's
game
GG
number
for
1.
them.
The analysis. Wait, you're already in your OG Phone 9?
I'm figuring out how that Spear of Alpha happened.
Yeah.
I'm looking at like the space on my fingers, like on the beautiful 6.9 and change 165 hertz refresh rate display. Like I'm looking at like how that could have happened. I guess in the heat of battle, you did see that he was on point though. He did not miss a single beat with the refreshing response time. How he was able to like Winter Crown after. So you saw that he was still on point. Like even if that was a slip up, like he thought he could have survived. So I'm figuring that out.
It's tough. Honestly, it's tough because it is a masterpiece, and honestly, looking real sleek at the same time. And he's mentioned it before that it has 65 hertz refresh rate for the screen alone.
I think they bumped that up for this new one.
Really? Oh yeah, because you're using the one just below that.
Yeah. So that's a ROG Phone 9 Pro. Unleash unmatched gaming performance with this device. That is the devices that will help us power the
BTK
M6
lose,
World
they are out.
Championship. It's a mobile masterpiece that seamlessly
Whether
blends
they
high-powered
win, they
gaming
lose
with a sleek,
the next game
modern aesthetic. You know, I wish
or
I
the
had
game
one
after,
of those.
they are out.
I have this.
If they
This
lose.
is actually the ROG Phone 6, but sometimes with just a little bit of a flick of a hand, you know, you just want to be able to get yourself a new one.
That could have been an expensive mistake.
Mini heart attack.
I've been learning magic for that.
I think just give in like
Hey,
Akai or
3
Barat or
minutes.
something.
3 minutes.
That's something that he's very comfortable
Oh
in.
my goodness.
Oh,
and has
we
at least
have
some
a
impact.
nice little surprise though. We got a new flavor with us.
At least
I'm not
Akai
just
he's gonna
winning
have some
idiot.
impact.
Oh, it matches you, dude. That's cute.
That's why I came out with
Alpha
this suit.
really-
Fortunately,
Don't know what he's
They
gonna
told
do.
you beforehand.
I really don't know.
We're bringing out the pink Hello Pandas. Bring out your pink suit.
well, yes and no. First off, I saw yesterday they also got strawberry, so I specifically told them, hey, if I don't get strawberry today, I'm gonna be real upset.
He threatened them. Hello Panda's like, okay, get in easy.
Okay,
down.
it's just pineapples for you, right? Like,
Yeah,
you don't
I'm
have the
good.
strawberry thing.
I actually enjoy the strawberry flavor here and there,
get a
but my
rating.
personal favorite is the white chocolate one. It's the white and blue box.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I like, but this one's gonna do. So hope you don't mind.
Ooh, there we go. All right, maybe
Can I have my phone back?
maybe with Hello Panda, I can do the magic trick a bit better.
No,
All
you
right.
can't do it backwards. Please don't.
Yeah.
Give me my phone.
ROG Phone 9 Pro, baby.
Give me my phone.
And Hello Panda.
ROG gave this. Give me my phone back.
I don't know. That ad spiel is one of the most dangerous ones I've seen so far. We pushed the line, but man, God dang.
I'm running out of time to potentially win an ROG Phone 9, man. I'm bringing out all the stops. All right. Hello Panda, fuel your game with Hello Panda crunchy biscuits filled with creamy chocolate, the ultimate snack to keep you energized. That's why we got a little bit, a little bit more energized. We're a little bit peppier now thanks to Hello Panda. Level up your day and visit Hello Panda's website for more. We're having a Hello Panda mukbang right here. Excuse me. I love it. Hopefully we get to see more flavors as it goes on, because we already have we already got 2. Hopefully we get others. We were just told to not finish it now. We know there's more. Don't keep it from us. And of course, we have a lot more for you. From November 18 to December 29, participate in the M6 Lucky Gift. Join the draw for a chance to win Claude's new Epic Skin, Challenger's Flare, and Beatrix's new M4 Epic Painted Skin Lightseeker. Don't miss this rare opportunity to get Beatrix's M4 exclusive and M4 Prime skins returning for a limited time. It's a throwback. There's a lot of goodies every time we have the M World Championship happening. So it's all good.
Talking about a throwback. Sorry, I just could not let this go. They changed the formula on the Hello Panda strawberries.
Oh, yeah, they
I
do.
remember as a child not being so fond of it, but now I can't get enough.
It's actually so much better
Yeah,
now.
when you were still a kid just like 3 years ago.
Dude, come on. 10 years ago, come on.
Okay.
I was a wee little boy of 12.
Hey, look, I have to talk about this upcoming game, especially after you mentioned about the Beatrix's M4 exclusive and Prime skins. Again, Beatrix has been one of the few picks that has been reliably gone to for each gold laner, especially when Bruno is, well, either out of the meta or too strong in the meta.
Yeah. For 3 years now.
For 3 years.
Beatrix has been a known element for 3 years now.
Yeah, just consistent. I think it's because of how many tools you have in your arsenal. Literally, it's built into your kit. Short range, mid-range, long range, basic attack lockdown. Add to that Malefic gun.
And a dash.
Sorry, went to get some chocolates.
And Malefic gun that, being the item of the tournament right now. The only thing that will make Beatrix even more broken is if they somehow turn her dash into a sliding tackle reload. But hopefully we won't get that far. Let's hear now from a key player from BTK, their mid laner, it's Hoon, and we asked him about, well, the lessons they learned from Fnatic Onyx Philippines. The biggest takeaway from playing against FNOP was their mentality. This is what we're talking about. Losing the second game couldn't have been easy, yet they managed to bounce back. Let's see if they have learned that lesson from FNOP and bounce back.
Well, I think it's a really interesting sentiment here, right? Because they could have talked about anything. It could have been draft, it could have been like the way they play the micromechanics, it could have been how they team fight, but they specifically talked about mentality. And this is something that I've been hearing consistently about NA teams. When they tilt, it's basically game over. It brings down the entire team's momentum, which is interesting because Vamos is in a very similar mentality as well. If things start going badly, how do you recover? And I think for NA teams, this has been a long time coming for them to beat this plateau, to reach this new height.
It's sort of like these two. It'll be a story about belief. Who believes harder? Who believes that they can win way better? Who can win faster? It's just all about mentality. But as I say that, again, our analysis for game number 1 was filled with stuff that wasn't related to mentality anymore. Or was it? Do you think some of the mistakes that they showed in-game, that's over-eagerness or overzealousness starting to creep in?
I don't believe it. I know it. And that's what makes it all the more crucial. The fact that you can see it clearly on stage, you can see it in their gameplay, and in the draft, I think this is where we'll see if the past 10 minutes between Renmar learning how to do phone magic and us enjoying the new flavor Hello Panda bestowed onto us in the desk is enough time for BTK to reset, because Vamos, for them, specifically Smooth, who I said prior to the match starting is just always chill. That's them. That's all 5 of them. They're just waiting for this match to start. And I'm on the edge of my seat for BTK. I can't even sit. I'm literally on my feet right now.
I mean, you may be on your feet, but I think for Smooth, he gives this very similar face of like, oh, nothing is ever going to phase him. But this is actually extremely important to him. I mentioned before, he has never made it past the group stages, if yet alone touch the knockout rounds. So many times denied, so many times dealt a bad hand and only getting second place.
And right now, he's 1 game away from coming up. 1 more game, Smooth. Smooth. Alamac.
Maybe with everything going quite rough in this series, you just need someone to smooth things out and be the key to getting that victory. Game number 2, potentially the last one in this Vamos versus BTK hype match. Similar bans, except this time, respect onto the glue from BTK, and the Hayabusa is now left open as they made it a Hilda ban instead.
Interesting. Maybe the adaptations from BTK side.
Vamos banning is very smart because you know why? The only games that BTK won, right, is when they had Low E
and dealing with these
and they had Predrin. Those are the games that they won.
Is too much of a
they
hindrance for me to be
the game
actually impactful.
with Low E.
Vamos can just run it back.
Without Low E, I don't know, like.
But here's where my mind is going, right?
Yeah,
while
mid
we're waiting for this first
is
pick.
not working.
BTK is currently #1 tied
I
with
think
Twisted
they need to
Minds for
focus
most
on
unique
drafting
heroes
a good
in the Swiss.
mid
21
combo.
unique heroes over what?
They need to
now 9 games so far?
draft that good mid.
With these weird picks coming out,
Mid
these weird
roam combo.
bans that's leaving out open the meta, maybe it's time for BTK to dig deep. Like whatever they have, left in the tank.
mean, there's got to be some logic to it, right? What are they
Choosing
missing
up
in
a
their
game, but
toolbox? In the
are they gonna
previous
pick it
game,
again?
I don't think they were missing anything. They were playing. It was just coming down to 1 or 2 bad decisions, right? You need to be able to maintain
Choosing, then
pressure,
pick high
especially
loss.
if you are playing an Alpha into the CO matchup, and as expected,
Oh my God.
Alpha
They are
has
opening
been
to
shown
Xin.
on top of the Cho.
All right. Allow me to speculate. This early
Serious?
Mobazane pick tells me
serious?
it's Mobazane saying, you know what, let me go again. I'll do it better.
Okay, let's see if he can actually back that up. If that is the fact of the theory on the table, BTK's pregame ritual, here's a fun fact, includes listening to a special rendition of 10 More Minutes by Shark. Why do I just imagine the 4 members of BTK plus Coach Pika Diff just sitting around Shark and just going, Shark, please sing for us.
They go the
and
same
then he just
thing
goes
again.
ahead and does it.
Honestly, I would think that would be kind of funny because Shark has one of the lowest tone voices I've ever heard in my life. But once again, we are seeing the Sicilian as well as the Carmilla being shown. We might just get the exact same draft with the only change being in that glue.
Let's see.
But what, BTK
Vamos
should
instantly
pick
locking
Layla.
in their combo. It's like if it was BTK
Just pick high
locking in
loss
the
here,
alpha
right?
early, saying,
Pick high
hey,
loss
bro,
here.
we can do it again.
Ben choose in.
Vamos is them saying, like, yeah, we're in their heads. We
Ben-
can definitely do this
Ben
again.
Beatrix.
It
Ben
feels like
pick
one of
Layla.
those picks where it was suddenly Sorn coming in and say, hey, let's just run it back.
Do they go Eve here? So it's easier for BTK to reach the back?
Even when others do more.
It's a Valentina. Oh, no, it's a Vex.
Vex, yeah. Go for Vexana instead of the stoppers. I would have liked the Eve, but a part
Okay,
of me
Vex-
thinks
Vex
like they
throw
maybe
is
were
much better
hesitant
than
about
Vex
it
choosing,
because of
at
how
least.
Carmilla and Sicilian can easily just break that formation. And at the same time, they like fighting under that formation. You see the Eve,
Okay, Ben.
well, you bring down the Curse of Blood.
And you're forced to move out.
Ben.
And you're forced to move out.
That's fair, but I do think it's
Let's
more so
think
the
about it.
relationship between Shark and as well as
Maybe
Hoon.
Ben Hayabusa?
In that mid game, we
Oh, no,
saw
no need.
that Hoon was
They
kind of
have
left
Blur
alone to kind
already.
of clear the waves by himself.
Ben
Now with Vexana,
something-
he can do that in a blink of an eye, right? And that means that
Ben
Shark isn't
something that-
tied down to just hovering around the mid lane.
Can dive.
So you go by, you know, BTK's initial plan in game 1, go fast and furious. They weren't going as fast.
Yeah.
They were definitely furious.
And BTK, with them picking up the Vexana, we saw it in that one series that BTK played up against Falcon.
Oh, they know.
It's like they want, you know what, just go ahead, pick up the glue. We have the Vexana with us.
Pop you.
I think they're gonna pick
so
high
if
loss.
Vamos goes glue here, they might be playing into the
I think they're thinking of
trap.
picking high loss.
If Vamos ends up
That's why they banned the carry, maybe?
doesn't pick up the glue anyway, it's like the Vexanas will be somewhat diminished, but it'll still be a great pick overall because of what Gideon mentioned in what they can do in the center of the map with faster rotations. Gold laners, Bruno gone, the Beatrix Granger is still available for Zia. Excuse me. Yes, still
So they
available.
can ban Granger, put the Zia back on the Beatrix.
Yeah.
I suppose, but then you have that big issue of, oh, if I need to push you all the way up into your inhibitors, Granger isn't that guy who's like, I can take out structures in like 2 hits. No, he's more so, I want you to sit underneath your structures and I'll put your life to 1% to make you recall early.
Yeah, so I think it's unanimous. Beatrix would rather
How
be
about
here for BTK.
giving chicken
Yeah,
Yuzong?
for sure. I mean, they've already got the pickoffs and, ooh, Gatar.
How about
Or
that?
Gatot usually
Giving
just
chicken Yuzong.
it's usually a tell of a team playing around their gold laner. You're probably
price
gonna end up
pick
with
with the
someone
Yuzong.
who isn't that mobile, so that's
I
why my
think
head
Yuzong
is
is
just
pretty good
constantly
against
leaning towards to what we mentioned
Sicilian,
before.
right?
It's probably a Beatrix, isn't it? And if it's not a Bea, it's a Granger.
Bay or Granger, that seems to be the trade. Both teams understand that. Is there room in Vamos for a high loss? So they can easily close the gap? That seems scary to me, a ridiculous combo. If you go high loss Granger for the Vamos closers.
If possible, I'd rather they get Khalid instead of the high loss. The high loss is a bit too honest in my book. The Khalid.
I think if the problem is that they're on red side. They only get 1 prio pick after the bans are done. They get rid of the Arlets,
Take
same
high loss
exact
Ranger.
bans coming up for the side of Vamos. If they go for Beatrix here instead of going for something like the Khalid or even the high loss,
yeah,
like
maybe
Gatot,
take
at this point,
high loss
at
first.
the bare minimum, if they do give that over to Vamos'
you don't
side, they
really
have some
need
form of
Ranger.
disengage on top of high ground defense. So, hey, drop the Bennett's Rage and be like, all right, we're out of here.
See which trade they
I
end up
think
going
Ruby
for.
would be good.
Lots of options for
Gives
both.
a lot of space
that choke can
for
still
Alpha.
end up going to the EXP lane, but if ever they might play for that flex for last and then just pick their gold laner now, they end up picking the Granger instead of the Beatrix. So that was one of the 2 options that we mentioned anyway.
I feel like
At least
they
the
should
adjustment
just.
this time is to say,
I don't know what they're gonna pick
Cillian,
for XP,
if
but
you are
if
gonna
they
go
are
for
gonna pick
Purify
high
once
loss,
again, that's totally fine with us. We're just gonna
they
steal
should probably
Shocking down
pick
so
high
you're
loss
out of
first.
the fight.
So if that's the case, are they just going to default back into the Rizla for fried chicken?
I feel like they are, but that's why they want this very last pick to be a bit of a toss of the die, right? Because Vamos must reveal first, and if they go blind and say, if you're going to go to Rizla, I'm going to play X-Borg, they can still adjust.
Oh, that X-Borg would be nasty with the Carmilla and Sicilian.
So now Vamos can't so easily do that.
Yeah. All right.
Leaves BTK here with the final say. So do they Beatrix? I think that's the next safest.
Yeah,
the Beatrix Granger trade.
Yeah, 100%. They want to be super team fight heavy and get a good mix up with the Carmilla. They can go for something more
They go
unique
high
like
loss.
an Irothel.
So they take their high loss.
That they do.
Good call on the Irothel. I mean, really great lane matchup here because, again, the movement speed is going to be nice, and it really makes Granger's life a little difficult.
Well, they're
having to
gonna
kind of
go
position
BTK.
himself
I
in a
can't
straight
see a
line
win here.
against this Irothel who kind of runs around you, but the high loss is where I'm a little
I
scared.
can't see
I actually
any
like it. You mentioned
possible
how honest
XP
it is.
laner.
Honesty sometimes is the best policy, you know? If you need to disengage, backwards, glorious pathway. If you need to stop the Granger in its tracks, force the Vixana to commit to a certain zone, drop it forward.
And this, the front to back of Vamos
How about try
looks
Yuzong?
like a honeypot. Oh, is a honeypot
Yes.
because again, Curse of Blood is active for them.
No
So that's the
joke.
kicker.
Try
It's,
Yuzong.
it's front to back. It's honest with a little bit of spicy dishonesty.
Maybe
you
take
know?
Greed?
It's sticky. It's sticky. Yeah.
Spicy dishonesty, I love that. But now Phoveus is going to get locked in. There's not too many dashers on the side of Vamos, not too many procs, so
Phoveus,
Chicken, he's going to have to play a very clean game.
Yeah, this might be the Phoveus
Phoveus
game of a
is
lifetime
decent
coming
against
in
high
from
loss in
Fried
lane,
Chicken. That's
but
what it feels like. Potentially the
I think high
last
loss has
game
more
in
impact in team
BTK
fight, especially
versus Vamos.
especially when
Mirko,
they got
bring it up
Irito
on the
and-
desk.
and Sicilian who can use that glorious pathway.
I think we're all waiting for the possibility of a maxed out 3
should have
series
taken-
game, but I'm not
they should
so
have just
sure
taken high
if
loss
Vamos
first.
will let that happen, since it seems like they're pretty confident with their
And then
game 1 lineup, and they're showing a
just
very
pick
similar
any-
pattern
any
heading
MM
into
will
game
do.
number 2.
Hey, man. The viewers back at home might want a full best of 3, but the people here in the arena, they want a clean sweep. Vamos 1-0 up on the Bloodthirsty Kings, and BTK, this is proving grounds for them. Can they walk the talk?
This is match point for Team Vamos, and they will definitely want to end this with a ticket to the knockout stage. Welcome to game number 2, and we'll finally see what are the adjustments that'll be shown to us by BTK this time around. I like what our panel mentioned about Team Vamos and their lineup being very honest, and for BTK, I think they just really need to approach it differently this time. They should be a little more coordinated in terms of their targets. It will be a struggle to constantly look out and pick off Zorn, considering the passive of Warlord, but I think that's one of the best ways to go around this entire composition of Team Vamos. You have to at least take out the threat of the Curse of Blood so you could operate freely when there's a team fight.
Yeah, they also need to just have more prior on the neutral objectives and secure neutral objectives early, right? The biggest problem for BTK in game number 1 was the fact that they weren't able to get a gold lead at the start of the game. That's a Master Assassin, by the way, for the Irothel. Great call from Renmar earlier. And yes, this Irothel is actually a pretty good way to match up against the Granger in lane. You can see Shark walking up. Nets will purify out. But man, that's a lot of damage. Concussive Blast from Shark. Doing a lot. Nets has regen though, should still be safe.
Could we say right now that BTK have realized now we don't want to really fight the mid duos as much anymore. We want to rotate a little bit more towards the side lanes so we can split up or spread out the attention, because it seemed like it worked well for Team Vamos when they were able to like just tell the members of BTK to, now let's just fight constantly here in the mid lane and let our side lanes do their own thing, because it didn't work well earlier for Team Vamos. So now it seems like BTK, they're clearly showing us some adjustments here in the early game.
Okay, Shark will be clearing out the mid lane. Warlord level 4 on a signature pick, at least back when he was an MDL RQ Senna. Shark trying to deal with Warlord here. Baits out, Bat Feast. It will be a stun over to MobaZane. Chibi looking for a Spear of Alpha defensively. They've conceded it over. Chibi wins it out. Eternal Guard not connecting. Fried Chicken goes for the procs. And again, it's Vamos who secure the first turtle of the game. BTK pushed back to their own jungle.
And Zorn was the only one who zoned out MobaZane. Like, he was enough just so MobaZane couldn't actually penetrate that turtle pit. And we might just be able to pose the question of, wait, all right, Nets will be able to survive that, but he will have to purify in a bit. And going back, Could this really be the way to go for BTK? I mean, we know that they constantly play around MobaZane, but you just lose a bit of attention towards MobaZane and how secure his farming is. These things happen. Deathly grabs to save him a bit, but Shark with a counter set up.
Yep, with a Wave Dragon, but it gets pulled back. Now Zane is caught in the midst of it all. The Curse of Blood connects onto 3. Chicken the bouncing damage. He goes in for the Infernal Pursuit, but Warlord shows exactly why he is named a Warlord. He goes in and gets 2 kills
This
at the
lineup
start.
is so bad,
That
man.
is so unfortunate. Just when BTK attempted to commit it all, the Curse of Blood, the Battle Impact, everything was ready from Team Vamos. And not to mention how Chibi nearly goes unnoticed.
Let's see if they can
Whenever
turn
there's
it
a team
around.
fight, there's so much attention on denying all those potential setups here from Team Vamos. And that was a quick punish as well. Just when Shark thought that he could have had his hands on an ideal setup on the Way of the Dragon, BTK need to be extra careful from this point onwards. I don't think it's nice to see them kind of be affected by the pressure.
They're definitely affected by the pressure here. Vamos are so good at playing the mental game on the other hand, right? It's almost like mentality. When it comes to just mentalities, it's Vamos all the way. It's uno, dos, tres, hala, Vamos. 1.6k gold lead with the composition again, just like in game 1, that should be losing in the start of the game, should be winning after the power spike. And BloodThirstyKings now, they're gonna have to be very, very careful, like you said, but I think careful isn't really the word that they need to utilize now. Like, the word and the action that they need to utilize isn't careful. They gotta go and fight. They gotta go and take the gold lead back, because if they don't, Vamos are just gonna steamroll through BTK.
Yeah, and I mean, they can do it as much as they want, right? Their lineup right now, it's so chaotic. We haven't even seen Nets participate in the team fights as much, but Shark definitely looking for his own target, but Warlord
Again.
keeps himself safe. And look at just how they're able to manage all the threats coming in from Shark and also securing the turtle while they're at it.
Shark is down. The Spear of Alpha from MobaZane was used defensively, and you can see the crowd go, wow, no! A pullback! What happened to who's HP bar? Curse of Blood onto 2. Zor with a petrifying Warlord pulls him back. Now Nets is gunning them down, forcing Zane to use the Spear of Alpha defensively again. Chibi in the back, going for the stun. Now off the Zia, forcing to flicker out. MobaZane unable to dish out damage. Chicken's running smooth down, and now he goes in for the Infernal Pursuit. Will be able to find a kill, but a turret in the mid lane will fall, and Vamos takes it on. Chicken getting zoned away. Warlord, 5 minutes in, doing this much damage already.
A mid lane turret in 5 minutes. That's how focused Team Vamos were in the mid rotations and the mid duos here of BloodThirstyKings, and it seemed like they denied them so much, even of their own intentions of wanting to rotate out of the mid lane, because they had to constantly defend the pressure that was being put towards the mid lane. But right now, Nets might just be a target. There's a Purify as well, and he will make it out alive, not unless...
Suyo coming down.
Okay, he makes it out
Triple kill
alive.
coming.
Divine intervention, Nets
Triple kill
gets
is
away.
coming.
Chibi goes in deep. Shark has been
Triple kill is
slain.
coming.
Chibi is trying to look for another kill, now jumping forward. Soulstone already see a stun in. Chibi will get the kill to double, and smooth Alamak with the turret tank up.
7-1 is the kill score you're seeing right now. Team Vamos being very dominant in the first 6 minutes of the game. I mean, look at the goal differences already, especially in terms of the mid lane. This isn't the best situation we've seen for Hoon. He's been denied 2 games in a row.
It's the best situation for Vamos. Zane caught on the Sanguine Claws again, and man, Sanguine Claws and Bad Impact should not deal that much damage in the first 6 minutes of the game. That in itself is already going to be really tough for BTK. They're relying heavily on their frontliners to get in there and dive in.
BTK actually wins.
And Team Vamos are not letting that happen. 3 neutral objective takes for the Sicilian, who needs to be the one scaling. BTK, now they're in the thick of it all.
Yeah, at this point, they just really have to go for the trades. It's the most they can do, especially considering that even in the very brief moments you decide to show up, Team Vamos, they wouldn't think twice about dealing the damage. You would expect BTK to throw out just the same amount of poke. They have the Granger in their hands, they have the Big Sana, but it seems a little difficult for them to just throw out all the damage, especially considering when their frontliners decide to engage, it seems like there's no backing out. That's a huge difference in terms of Team Vamos and BTK's lineup. Team Vamos, at least they have the Moonlit Walls, they have the passive, and they have the Glorious Pathway to get away whenever things just don't go their way. But BTK, it's a different story. Once they commit, there's almost no way out, especially considering the mobility that Team Vamos has in their hands.
Now they're just waiting for the late game, right? It's getting to a point where BTK are the ones waiting for late game. And I don't know, I feel like for Vamos, they're like, sure, we can play for the late game. If you want to play for late, it's all right, man. We're just going to play it slow, farm up again, Warlord stacking up like an absolute beast. So there's no real worry for Vamos at this point. It is all on BTK, the pressure, the game, everything. Warlord gets another there. And I'm really curious to see at 8 minutes how many stacks Mr. Warlord has on the Sicilian.
Yeah.
Because it's a 5,000 gold lead and Warlord's doing so much damage. That's another free turret down below. BTK are just constantly forced to give away these neutral objectives, give away even structures. 8 minutes in, down to just the tier 2 in the mid lane and up top. It'll be a trade at least. 178 stacks. Actually, is that impressive?
I don't think it's
It's not that crazy.
It's not that crazy.
It's pretty okay. It's like,
but I mean,
it's all right.
It's 8 minutes. We're 8 minutes into the game, but there have been a lot of team fights, I'd say. And another thing is probably I'm also curious as to whether we'll be seeing Warlord and Zorn not together at all in this entire game. But Nets, early pickup on the Malefic gun. So talk about mobility, talk about range.
Yeah.
Team Vamos, it seems like they're well equipped to face whatever potential team fight we'll be seeing in the next few minutes.
And that was just Vamos who are going to control the neutral objective. Again, BTK don't really have an entry point over here. Warlord is just chunking Fly Chicken down. It's a tier 1 for a Lord. Not a good trade, but the only trade that BTK can get right now. Mobasane forced to S. Spear of Alpha backwards. Nets gets a turret up top too. BTK are just down to their base turrets in both side lanes now.
BTK though,
my
how
God,
will they defend all of this? Because Mobasane decides to go in and he's just bursted down like that by Team Vamos.
And Smooth makes a line for BTK to stay behind. Now you can see the recalls from Vamos. The easy server are roaring in Malaysia.
They actually formed the V in Vamos before they spammed all those recalls. And they're just simply waiting for this Lord that they took in their hands. The lane equilibrium isn't that great, so BTK, they might find some ways to deal with this, but I don't know. Just look at the amount of damage Team Vamos is able to throw out, but Nets uses the heavy crossbow to get away, but Shark is punished by Team Vamos way before the Lord even gets to the base of BTK.
The BloodThirstyKings are down to their last set of turrets. A holy defense stands in the way of Vamos. But what's that to Warlord, who's fully stacked up? Smooth goes in to revitalize as well. Zone in the back line now. That's going to be Smooth taking a lot of hits. The Lord will be able to get into the vicinity of the turret. Zia goes in for some clear. Not the fastest of clear. The turret will be taken down in the mid lane, and the bottom lane should follow next. Nets heavy crossbow to take it down, and Vamos say, we're good, we're happy. Now we will prolong your suffering.
And that's a great showing of discipline from Team Vamos, because BTK clearly, they were ready to go. They were ready to look for a target. That was a concealed play used by Shark, who currently is standing on a 0-3, and that is not a great sign, especially if you aren't able to get the necessary trades out of it. So we're looking at an 8k gold lead in favor of Team Vamos, which is all the more reason for them to just hold on to this lead. They don't need to do anything crazy. They just need to play this by the book, because BTK, they're the ones who have to find a way to deal with all this pressure. We've seen them struggle in terms of wave clear earlier, so the second time that Team Vamos gets their hands on an objective... Wait.
How do they do it though, right? If there is a possible comeback angle, though it is like, what, very low at this point.
Yeah.
What do they have to do to make that happen? I don't know. Vamos, they just look too clean, and their composition with a lead like this looks a bit too impossible to make even a mistake happen, you know?
Yeah, even if Shark decides to go for a pickoff, like, Zia would probably have enough damage by now, but that doesn't entirely mean that you would get the upper hand in terms of the team fight. You would still waste resources just to take a single pickoff against Team Vamos. And by the time they know that, they have a lot of ways to counter it. Speaking of, Shark hasn't even had his hands on a setup yet, but he immediately gets punished right away!
Shark is down, Hoon is down, Chicken caught on the Sanguine Claws. Mobasane chased down Chibi! Gets the double! Now it's Mobasane who's caught again. Has a Spear of Alpha to walk away. They want to go for the end. Zia dashing backwards. BTK on the brink of elimination. Uno, dos, tres. Vamos say adios to BTK.
The retribution arc continues for for the hometown villains now turned heroes. Vamos indeed for Team Vamos.
In the home crowd, the taunt. It is fire. Straight up fire on stage. Walking from one side to the other in front of the man who called them the easy server. Vamos are the ones to eliminate the Bloodthirsty Kings and their phenomenal run in the Swiss stage.
The clash of servers took an unexpected turn. It was a one-sided series for Team Vamos. Let's head over to our panel and have them break down that series for all of us.
Holy shit. The taunt.
Revenge is a dish best served at home. Malaysia, let the world hear your support for Vamos!
That was literally a real life recall.
Congratulations to the team that for the longest
Literally
time
recalling
has been
on
hunted
them
by
in real life.
NA. They and the region hunted by NA. Here they are sweeping BTK. What a win for Malaysia, locking in their first representative in the knockout stages.
It's a new day. Yes, it is. 2 years that it was NA who kicked out Malaysia, who made them suffer and miss out on the knockouts. Now here in 2024 in the M6 World Championships, the script is flipped. Did I not say it's time for Smooth to taste the knockouts?
It feels good. It feels good on a couple of levels. Yes, revenge is best served at home, but at the same time, at the very least, my heart goes out. Sympathies and empathies towards BTK side. They've worked real hard to get to this point, and honestly, especially when it comes down to an M series, it just stings a little bit more. But as you mentioned, this is a very incredible moment for Team Vamos, especially to one of my favorite EXP laners, Smooth. This is going to be an achievement in his book. I can't wait for this interview to come by, honestly.
Lord Smooth.
Lord Smooth.
Lord Smooth is back. Thank you once again to BTK and ACT in the region of North America for showing up once again for another M series. But now it is time for Malaysia and Vamos to taste sweet victory. Let's go onto the stage with Rose. But first, here's BTK.
From the other side of the world, Captain America has led this familiar team to a dramatic comeback in the international scene. Their presence alone in the M6 has made competition extra competitive. It is, however, the end of their quest to be greater than ever. Game's never over for Bloodthirsty King. And guys, on a count of 3, you guys may give your final bow. 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, Bloodthirsty King, we hope to see you guys come back stronger next year. Thank you very much. Thank you. I hope to see you guys again soon. And the first Malaysian team heading on to the knockout stages. Malaysia, give it up for Team Vamos, Chibi. Hi, Chibi. How are you?
I'm fine, good.
You're fine? Are you nervous? Was today nerve-wracking for you?
Yeah, nervous juga lah.
Nervous, you're also
Cakap bahasa Melayu boleh?
You can answer in Malay. Okay, so he said he is a little bit nervous. Okay, Chibi, after this win, does it mean, what does it mean for Malaysia server?
Ya, tapi Mobazing yang noob tadi, bukan yang tim dia. Mobazing yang beban tadi. Kalau Mobazing tak beban, tim dah menang lah.
Okay, guys, honestly, I don't really want to translate this, but you know, he kind of said it. He said, in his opinion, he thinks it wasn't the team's fault. He said he thinks it's Mobazing's fault. That's what, okay, I'm just gonna not sugarcoat it because my job is to translate it. Now, okay, Chibi, just last year, NA team was the one that sent you guys home from your M5 journey. They were the reason why you guys couldn't go to the knockout stages. This time, do you feel like you finally gotten your revenge on the NA team?
First kali saya rasa puas lah sebab saya boleh balas dendam. Balas dendam yang di mana diorang pun tak lepas playoff. So balas dendam tu sama, so saya happy lah.
He said he feels satisfied that this time he's the reason why NA couldn't pass through the knockout stages, because if you guys remember, last year NA team was the one that sent them home from their M5 journey. So you feel satisfied this time around?
Apa dia?
Are you feeling satisfied?
Tak faham.
Awak rasa puas ke?
Puas
sangat. Okay, sorry. I think we can see that he's a bit nervous. Okay, now Chibi, I heard, just an intel to make everything more fun. I heard that you have a pre-game ritual. Before you play, you always listen to songs from Rosé. Not from me, but Rosé. What song do you always listen to?
Lagu apa Gun.
Can you maybe sing a bit?
Cannot.
Do you guys want to hear just a bit? Just a bit. Come on. Knockout stages. Come on, Chibi. Just a bit.
Sebab saya tak ingat pun liriknya.
Okay, sing anything you know from Rosé.
Gone. Yeah.
I mean, you know what? Okay. Now, Chibi, on a more serious question. The past M series, a lot of people say that you're not a good jungler or you're not really shining. But you guys just qualified for the knockout stages and in an elimination round. What else will Chibi show in the knockout stages?
Mungkin saya akan tunjukkan gameplay yang lebih menarik kot daripada Swiss ni. So saya minta doa korang untuk kita orang berjaya lah ke Axiata Arena, insyaAllah.
Alright, he said that honestly, he feels as if he will put on a better gameplay for everybody in the knockout stages compared to the Swiss stages, and he asked for everyone's prayer that they can go through to be top 4 and be able to play in Axiata Arena. All right, Chibi, last question or last thing. What do you want to say to all the fans? Look, full house for Team Malaysia today.
Thank you semua yang datang support. Thank you juga yang nonton dari online. Thank you sebab support korang. Kita orang menang hari ini, alhamdulillah. Dan tak lupa juga kepada Boss Solos dan Bohana sebab percayakan kita orang, dan tak lupa juga kat sponsor kita orang iaitu ada Realme.
You wanna see what CC is building?
Vamos pula. Ada apa ni? Ada
I can probably tell you the build.
Al-Ha'afa dan KPIJ. Thank you
Demon
semua yang
Boots.
sponsor, right?
He said thank you to all the fans
Pearl
who are
Destiny.
watching from home and of course from the venue. Thank you very much, Chibi. Congratulations.
Lantern.
And with that, let us throw it back to the panel to break down what happened in this game against
Going one.
BloodThirstyKings.
Probably Glyph if he had the time to build it.
Of course, that was Chibi from Team Vamos again. Congratulations to Vamos and their victory. What a game, except this time around you can clearly see Vamos just in the zone, confident, and again, in the heads of BTK.
You know what? I'm glad that Rose got to interview Chibi, because I'm thinking about his game on the Suyo, a blue yo, by the way, first pick Suyo Prio, game back-to-back. He was, correct me if I'm wrong when I say this, he was Besar dan Kuat.
Yes,
he was big and strong, just calling all the shots. He did die, if I'm not mistaken, game 2 is 6-0-5.
Yeah, no, honestly, I'm on the opposite side of this fight. Honestly, this has been really anticlimactic for me. I definitely thought BTK, honest to God, could have shown up more. But the tilt, the mental breakdown was so clear. And it just hurt the performance so much. As much as this is a good victory, and honestly a satisfying victory for Vamos, personally for me as an analyst, it hurts so much more to watch.
Hey, good man, you're not wrong, but the fact that they ran back a good chunk of that draft from game 1, and there was, again, I could be wrong, but it seemed
that was
like
the exact
pick on that alpha early.
That was the exact build
I can almost hear
I
it.
was saying.
Let me pick it again, I'll do better. It feels like we're beating down a dead horse by just, pointing at the fact that at some point in the game, what, 12 and 30 this one went. I'd say at the 5 or 6 minute mark that early, we were just breaking down.
Yeah. And so Vamos got creative. They smelled blood. One of the picks that you go for if you want to snowball and win the game early before 15 minutes, Irithel does that so well. Once that Malefic gun got locked in after the Berserker's Fury, if I'm not mistaken, that was all she wrote. Because of the lead that Vamos had, it would be way too difficult for BTK to come back. Add to that, it was perfectly partnered with the Carmilla and Sicilian. The Curse of Blood we saw was such a big factor in the team fights for Vamos.
Not to mention the Moonlit Waltz. We rarely see it because Carmilla and Sicilian, it's a once in a blue moon type of combo.
Yeah.
Fans at home watching.
To be honest, I don't think it was Fred that
does everything.
It does.
That was the key.
It allows Zorn to say, I don't need to take Flicker
to them winning the games. Actually, I think it was low E.
The setup. I can play as dangerous as I want as long as Warlord
I think low
is
E is
nearby
the
me,
key for them to winning all the games.
button. And honestly, the composition from Vamos, it is well thought of. It's coming into preparation against BTK, expecting them to say, hey, we're not only going to take away your Fredrin, we're going to take away the Suyo. Now you're forced to play a very honest jungler and a composition that must play around pickoffs. They identify key players like Shark and as well as Hoon, because once Hoon loses that confidence and isn't the pillar for the team, the foundation that they need to fall back to, then you see that BTK, they lose so many of these fights.
And it was also even riskier to bring in the Phoveus into this composition that Vamos already brought up. We agreed on the table. This would have been, or this was, an incredibly difficult game for Fried Chicken to shine in. You throw the Phoveus in there, suddenly all of the backup that BTK want to toss
to be honest, I think Ranger right now
Phoveus will always just get stopped. The Glorious Pathway,
probably
the Irithel isn't the easiest catch in the world. Even the times we saw Shark sort of get a catch.
I mean, before M6, I was thinking Ranger probably is like,
suddenly it's free.
Like below top 10. I think right now probably he's top.
To the coaching staff of Vamos for drafting into
top
this,
6 marksmen
knowing
in
the tendencies
Golden.
of BTK, they really allowed
Maybe
their
number
team
6
and their gold laner to shine.
That's Kenneth Baroforia Nets on the Irithel. He seems to be our mid-range marksman specialist going into the knockouts. I'll tell you now, I rarely play gold lane, but in the past week, because of Malefic Gun, because of how the meta has evolved, I've played my good fair share of the gold lane. And when you pick an Irithel into a Granger, we mentioned this in the draft and saw it in action during the game, the Irithel plays with circles. She's a mobile circle of just circumferential damage. And when you build that Malefic Gun, it becomes so much worse for the Granger because that Granger plays in straight lines. And when you cross that line, when you get in that threshold, there's very little the Granger can do, especially when you're snowballing like Nets was.
Yeah, and I mean, it comes for free, right? No mana to worry about. You play around your passive most of the time to get the majority of your damage. The laning phase against Granger is incredible because Granger, it's the management is just with your own resources. I only have one Rondo, so many Death Sonatas to throw out. More importantly, the Rhapsodies only come out in straight lines and can be blocked by minions, so trading is impossible. And with Master Assassin, Nets knew exactly what he wanted.
I think number
to do
1
in
is
lane. Leave me on an island
number
and I'll
1
make magic happen.
is
As long as I
Bruno.
have my Purify
Number 2 is Beatrix.
off of cooldown, you can play on the opposite side of the map.
Terrific game by Team Vamos. As we look at the highlights, it was just the Vamos
number 3
show again.
probably
So disruptive, and they're...
I'm talking about rank, by the way. So it's not
lineup that they brought out, where you'd
it's
want
not
to think that,
competitive.
Hey,
if you want to talk about competitive, there is a different.
Good snowball going for us. No, at the end,
But I think number 1, number 2 is still the same for competitive and rank.
With a tight formation, with a tight lineup, and just a whole boatload of damage that got the snowball quickly.
I think for competitive play,
that victory against
Ranger is probably number 4.
Although, yeah, they're
number 3, number 4.
I dare to admit, kind of anticlimactic.
But for rank, he's probably number 6.
I'm sure Malaysia is happy that they finally have their first representative in the knockouts.
Look, we're Southeast Asian. We'll take anything we can get at this point.
That's true. Coming up next, though, or before we go into our next one, of course, we just want to say thank you for supporting the M6 World Championship. If this is your first time tuning in, this is our last day of the Swiss stages before we head into our knockouts. Your feedback is invaluable in helping us improve future tournaments. Please scan the QR code to share your thoughts with us. I'm pretty sure for both of you, especially, you've been here since M1 Gideon, you've been here since M2.
What about Moscow?
The improvements that we've had year by year.
I think Moscow right now probably.
Just last night I was reminiscing and looking back at how things have changed on behalf of everyone making the M series possible. Terima kasih, salamat,
not that high, maybe 10.
And
10 or 9.
Wherever
place.
you're watching from, because we would not be here without your support. So please do let us know how we can improve and make the watching experience better for all of y'all MLBB sports fans all around the world.
It mustn't be so
maybe I should do a tier list
M1 days back
video
again
again soon.
here in Axiata, or you will go back to Axiata, but
maybe after M6 I'll do it.
Before we reminisce with Grandpa Giddy, I'm sorry for just calling you Grandpa, brother.
Arigato.
Let's go backstage to look, of course.
It's over for BTK. They are eliminated.
Their signet. The first team here eliminated in the 9th to the 11th place.
They are no longer
3 more matches. And of course, we
in
get to
M6
see
anymore.
Zorn with a huge
They are
smile on his
eliminated.
face. Potentially at Last Dance Part 2 Final Draft Remix Chapter 7. But he'll be going into the knockouts, and He'll be bringing smooth with him.
With the pace that Zorn is going, despite the marriage, despite his thoughts of retiring, I think he's here for a longer time, man.
He's been here longer than I have even, right? Season 1 of MPL MYSG, he was still around playing competitively, and even before that, community tournaments all across Malaysia, right? He is a long time stay, and honestly, I hope that he's able to achieve his dreams because, man, if I've been playing for that long, at some point, you got to be looking at Mobile Legends like, I love this game, but God, I want to close my eyes and see something else.
So if you guys want to watch the EDIF stream,
Now, coming up next is time
it's
to
gonna
see
come
a
up in
different
like 5
matchup.
minutes.
Two teams that still,
Okay,
because
guys,
of the Swiss
see you
stage, did
in
not expect
5 minutes.
to be in where they are right now. One game away from
See you.
advancing, one game away from getting eliminated. It's Team Liquid ID of Indonesia and Twisted Minds. Gideon, TLID's been hot. They are on a hot streak. It looks like the cavalry is like ready to stampede.
I'm ready for it. I am